Hola, mis amores. So today I'm going to be talking about my nursing school journey and basically everything that led up to here and me getting a job in the cardio-surgical ICU. I just got off of work, but I'm going to be eating my lentil soup that I made this week. I'm going to put the recipe below in case you're interested. I think it's what does it have? It has carrots, kale, tomatoes, rice, lentils, obviously, celery. It's really good. I know it sounds like a lot, but it's really good. But I'll put the recipe below, like I said. Anyways, so I have mentioned this in the description box in our channel, but I don't know if everyone has looked there, but I am a DACA recipient from Mexico City. My parents came to the US when I was 4 years old, and I've lived here, or I've lived in Texas literally my whole life since then. And then I moved to where I'm now. And then it's been a long journey for sure. So basically being a DACA recipient means that I am not considered a citizen of the United States. I have to pay taxes. I have to contribute to the government. Every 2 years I have to pay to, I want to say more. I think I go through a lawyer. So I pay around $1,000, $1,200 every 2 years to renew my stay here basically, because if it expires I'll be deported. But it's a long process and I have to pay that amount of money, and like I said, I have to pay taxes, but I don't get any of the benefits of being a citizen since I'm not considered one here in the US. And I couldn't apply for FAFSA when I was in college. So I just had to rely on my parents to help pay for my college, and then I had to apply to TAFSA. The TAFSA is just again kind of like FAFSA, but on a state level, not a federal level, and it's still based on how much income your parents make. So it's based on that, and you don't get as much help or loans as you would if you apply for FAFSA. And there's just more hoops to jump through when you apply to TAFSA. And you also I feel if you are a citizen, you can apply for more scholarships depending on what you're studying and how much your parents make and all these different things, but they only apply to US citizens, and I couldn't apply to a lot of scholarships for that reason. And I know there's some out there for DACA recipients, but there's not a lot, and they get taken up pretty quickly. So that was hard, a huge barrier for me to go into nursing school, graduate from college, and start working as a new nurse. That was the biggest obstacle that I had to face. And it was also really scary being a DACA recipient and applying to college and all this stuff, because it was well, even if I do graduate, am I even gonna be able to work here? Because it's so dependent on the president or Congress or whoever to keep this program alive, and being able to stay in this country is so up in the air for people like us. So it was just still scary doing that. But another barrier, which I feel a lot of people in my situation also might be going through, is I was the first generation college graduate, college applicant, whatever, and none of my parents, none of their grandparents, none of them had even tried to go to college. And it was just a lot for me to navigate by myself, because I wasn't comfortable with the people, my counselors at school, to talk to them about this, or other peers, because they weren't in the same situation. And it just was awkward for me. It wasn't that I was ashamed, it was just something that I was oh, no one can know, because it's not seen as something good by society that I'm not a US citizen, and people are gonna be oh, well, you're an illegal immigrant, go back home, you're an alien, whatever, right? Oh my god, I'm gonna cry. So yeah, it wasn't something that I felt comfortable reaching out for help with, just because it wasn't looked upon, I guess, what I saw through social media and the news and stuff. It was something oh, you don't belong here kind of stuff. So I, again, kind of kept it to myself. But navigating the application process, the financial aid process alone, what schools would be willing to give me, because I was fine with grades. I could have gone to California, I could have gone to New York, I could have gone to any state for college basically. But it was just I couldn't go to my number one pick, just because like it depended so much on how much financial aid I was like getting, and I just like had to be like considerate and like be realistic with my choices in like school and like for my parents and like all this stuff. So I ended up staying in Texas for school, which was fine. And my parents were so happy for me like getting into college and stuff, but it was just like such an immense pressure that it overwhelmed me pretty quickly, and I just wasn't able to like handle it the way I wish I would have handled it. I got really depressed for a really long time during like college, and it affected my grades and stuff, so I had to like take a step back. I took a job waitressing for a little bit to save up some money, so like it would help my parents and like take off some load off of them and off of me, not to feel like, oh well, like my parents are doing so much and sacrificing so much for me to like go to school when they have already sacrificed so much for me already. So that happened, but eventually I like went back, took some classes at like Texas State, took some classes at ACC, and then I graduated. And it was a lot as like a first generation DACA recipient to be like navigating all of this stuff, because there's so much paperwork. There's so much like things you need to fill out. There's payment plans. There's times you need to know when to sign up for classes. There's times you need to like learn when to do this and when to do that. And I feel like a lot of the benefits that people who are from here and whose parents did go to college is like they know their way around that a little bit more, and they have like more advice. And I was able to do it. Like it's not something that's impossible, and it's not something that isn't reachable if it's your goal, but it was just a lot for me. And then I think that becoming a nurse was like such a big milestone, and the part of the reason why I chose this profession, not that I don't love it, not that I'm not passionate about it, but a huge thing that swayed my decision on why I became a nurse was because I was like, if I do get deported, if I do get my DACA status gets like taken from me, or like the president, especially with like all of this was going on when like Donald Trump was president, and so it was just very like a very scary time for so many people. And we're just kind of a political kind of toy that like both sides use to like gain favor or gain what they want from the other. And we're just like kind of being toyed around and like strung along for such a long time, because I've had this since I was, I think maybe like 16, and I'm 26 now, so it's been like almost 10 years since I've had this, and it's like a lot. We still haven't gotten answers about this, so it was just always like my status here is always so up in the air. And knowing that I'm a nurse and that I can go back to like Mexico, go to another country, wherever that may be, and like have this knowledge and have these resources and like being able to work wherever is so important, because I can't just start a business here or start like something here and then have it all be taken away just because like the whims of the president or the whims of like Congress or whatever. So that was like a big part of it. And so like becoming a nurse again was such a huge accomplishment for me, and it felt like such a weight off my shoulders that like all the hard work of my parents, them immigrating here when I was young, like it had all paid off, that I was reaping the rewards that they had put in, and that I was going to be able to like have like a more stable future than they could have, or that they did back home. And so it was like really such a happy moment for me, like such an accomplishment. And like regardless, going through nursing school is like one of the hardest bachelors that you can get. So like regardless of your situation, you should be like super proud that you like accomplished this. So all of that was just like kind of going on before, during, and like after nursing school. My nursing school in itself wasn't hard. Like I didn't think it was that hard actually. Like I watched a lot of YouTube videos where I was like looking at other people to see like what they thought, what they struggled with, how they were doing. There was like a couple YouTubers at the time that were like a little bit big for like nursing, and they talked about like failing a class or having to repeat a semester, having to get above like a 75 or an 80 or whatever their program like made them do. And it was like kind of scary thinking about it beforehand, and like going into nursing school and being like, oh, I have to get this grade or I'm gonna get kicked out, or like I have to be so good or else my program won't accept me, and like all this stuff. And like getting into nursing school was so competitive. I feel like getting into nursing school was so much harder than being in it. And so once I was in it, like I had my sister and I made like really good friends in nursing school, so that really helped out in like studying and being able to like turn in assignments on time and going to clinicals and like feeling well about them. So all of that was like really helpful. So if you can like find your group, find your people in nursing school, it's like it takes so much of the burden off of you like being alone. Obviously like you still have to study, you still have to put in the time, but it wasn't anything where I had like been seeing that it was like, oh, like only like the best can do it, or only if you're studying like 12 hours a day and you go to classes 4 hours and that's the only way you can do it. And it's like, no, if you just know your study habits and you're on top of your things, you should be fine. Just like, I think the hardest part was getting into nursing school. So once you do it, like, it's just like put in the work and you'll be fine. Like that's as simple as that, I think. So yeah, so that was kind of like basically like my nursing journey, like the obstacles I faced, what I thought about it. So to any like other DACA recipients who are going through nursing school or are applying to college or are just living here in the United States and like feel alone, you're not alone. Like there's so many of us and like they literally do need us. Like we contribute so much to like taxes and like the money that they bring in and all this stuff. They need us, and all of us here are like a family. You're not alone, and you should know that it's doable. Like you can do it. Like don't feel discouraged, don't feel like you are taking someone's place, don't feel like you don't deserve like this spot, like don't feel like you don't deserve like this opportunity. If there are any other DACA recipients who are like listening to this or are seeing this, like feel free to like reach out, leave a comment, talk about your experience, because I want us to feel like we're not alone. And I swear, like I'm not sad. I'm just like, this is like such an emotional topic, but I'm like literally so proud of like my background and who I am and how far I've come. Okay, well, thank you so much for watching. It means a lot that you like stayed and like watched this video. And it's important to support your community, support DACA recipients and Hispanics and like people of color, and just like support everyone that you can. And thank you so much for watching and have a good day. I wish you the best. Sister! How old am I? Wait, where did I leave off?
That you're an alien?
I don't know. I don't want to say taken.
Stolen. Kidnapped.
I know. Or I'm replying. I can't tell. Please, I keep the emotion out of it.
Why?